That exactly looking at ixesha lethu lokuxesha lokuba ngaba ke sikwazi ukuncokola sive uba ngaba ke kumphulaphuli uba ngaba ke have you ever been scammed? Because we do know uba ngaba ke into ezidibanisa nee-scams zizinto ezenzeka not specifically just around us but also nakwabantu esibaziyo ziyabachaphazela, also people that are close to us, and also after you've ever actually had an experience mhlawumbi uthi wena sekhe waphantsi uskenywa, what was the next step that you took in terms of also finding yourself again? Because I do understand uba ngaba ke once you've been through that traumatic experience, kuye kunyanzeleke uba ngaba ke that you seek therapy. And that is something I think majority of us actually forget about, and we find later on in life that we get triggered by such small things only to find out uba ngaba ke you never actually went to therapy after you actually got scammed. Now, today is National Slam, the Scam Day. And if you actually did not know about it, we're going to be letting you know on the invasion. Uba ngaba ke olu suku luthetha ntoni na. Kuthiwa be aware of social security scams targeting vulnerable individuals, safeguard your personal information, and report any suspicious activity. And when I say specifically suspicious activities, you find that mhlambi ngeza date zithanda uba busy, or not even specifically busy days xa usiya ebhankini kubakho abantu who are actually targeting abantu abadala okanye abantu abatargeta any individual they see that might actually be vulnerable. And that is when they actually come to you and they start to actually talk to you in a very different way. And ude wothuke xa usiva abanye abantu bebalisa ukuba ngaba ke yho mna ndakhutshiswa imali engange-28,000 okanye ndakhutshiswa isalari yam yonke without even me, hesitating. And you even find uba ngaba ke kukho amayeza, or there's certain things that these people actually use ukuba ngaba ke bakwazi ukuphumelela with the schemes that they do. But when we look at scams are so different. There's so many of them. And as I was doing a bit of research kwamna myself, and I was even shocked uba ngaba ke there's so many scams that one can actually look out for. And one of the popular ones has to be ezaa scams so sizifumana zemisebenzi. Yabona ke leyo yeyona ethanda ukuchukumisa myself kakhulu ngoba siyayazi uba ngaba ke we live in a world, in fact specifically a country whereby ulutsha oluninzi lukhangela imisebenzi, ulutsha luhleli luzama ngazo zonke iindlela uba ngaba ke luqeshwe. And there's certain texts that one will get, SMSs uve uba ngaba ke mhlawumbi even on Facebook there's always job scams ezithanda ucirculate. And when you look at something it looks so legit, and when you even look at venue apho mhlambe kuthiwa interview uzawuba nayo kuyo ubona uba it's giving the back salon, it's definitely not giving. So when it comes to these scams, I want us to actually look at some of the different scams that we actually have. There's ATM scams, which are also very popular. We call smishing, which is something I do not know. There's fraud. There's also phishing. There's also charity scams. There's job scams. There's dating scams. And there's also a fake tourist police at airports, very also popular. And also people striking up a chat, as well as there's abantu who might even talk to you at certain clubs. And those are the ones that actually spike your drink. Umntu ezamuthetha nawe kanti ngumntu ozaziyo uba ngaba ke uzokuskema, ngumntu ongazanga ngohlobo oluhle. Now, many people in South Africa we know specifically actually get scammed. And there's nothing even for one to say that they feel ashamed in terms of lombuzo or tubanga, have you ever been scammed? If you've ever been scammed, it's okay to actually say that you have been. But the one of the reasons we're saying Bangabake, we want you to open up is because we want to make abanye abantu aware of the certain scams that actually take place in South Africa. Now, quickly, I recall in the Sichuan Bangabake, there's actually been an incident whereby I actually have been a victim of almost being scammed. And I recall I've spoken about this many times, and the reason was because it was or even on social media, and you always think so up until it actually happens to you. Going back to 2021, I recall it was actually here in East London, and it was elaa xesha lokuba ngaba ke sekuzophela unyaka abantu bafuna imali ngazo zonke iindlela. And abantu xa befuna imali ngazo zonke iindlela, trust and believe that people will actually get what they want. Now, moving forward, I recall, ndiphethe iplastic ezazingezizo ezam laa nto phathiswa, and that day, I was dressed smartly, looking good, and I had my watch on. Xa ndandifika closer to apho ndiyokhwela khona, I recall kukho umntu ongumama owayendibiza, and one of the things I think she said yilaa nto uba ingathi uyachaza. And kwakukho into ayithanda uthethwa kuthiwa thina abantu bamnyama ke siyathanda ukusoloko sifuna uchazwa, or mhlawumbi kuthethwe into ezakwenza ufuna ukuva more, and back home you actually grow up being taught by never talk to strangers, but you find yourself actually talking to the stranger. Now, talking, I recall mama asking me questions, and I just remember just talking. And as I was answering these questions, she had into ethi uba mandikhulile my valuables, which was the earrings I was wearing, and a watch, which was, I think eyona nto wayibona uba ngaba ke ingathi inemali esithi ndizifake ebhegini. You know, xa umntu ethetha nawe kakuhle, engashawutisi, ethetha ngomoya ophantsi okhululekileyo, umoya osenkonzweni, you actually end up doing what the person actually wants you to do. So I remember even ndizifake ebhegini because wandibizela emotweni endithi uba abantu benza ngazo zonke iindlela to actually lure you into these scams. And once I had actually even put in my earrings, my watch, and everything, my cell phone ebhegini, she started asking questions, ethetha nezinto ezazingadibaniyo. And ingqondo xa seyibuyile ngoku, you then realize, but no, le nto ithethwayo apha is actually not what is actually making sense. Now, other people might call it mhlawumbi kuthiwa ke you were in a trance okanye kwakusebenzisa amayeza and so forth and so forth. But into eyayindenza ndibe nento ethi ayiyo le nto, it's the fact that I felt my body was just not my body. Like ube ngathi udizzy and you're not yourself, you know, you're not the Pure that you know you are. And I remember ndiphuma kulaa moto saying to her uba indibuza ithini kanini ipini yam of a certain bank that I use, and I was just like, this is definitely not giving. And when I left, ndikhumbula ishawuti isethukisela, and in my head I was just like, this is not it. I almost got scammed. Now walking back, I remember kufika iphela, and I was just like, in fact mangabe walk because I could see that there was somebody else actually looking, and umntu uba very very suspicious xa Hi, Luanda. I see you. Thank you for joining us so much, Lisa. Now, looking at these things that have to do with scams, there's always going to be umdu who's going to look very suspicious. And that's something we're going to be looking at just a bit later on in terms of how to avoid abantu banjalo, how to avoid scammers. Now, you could automatically see umdu kujongileyo, umdu ombona uba ngaba ke uyayazi what is in the bag, because if you recall, when I'm pulling nditshilo uba ngaba ke my valuables were in my handbag, meaning uba ngaba ke it was going to be so easy. Kwakuza kuba lula ukuba ngaba ke kubekho umntu ozolavela afike and actually take my bag, and that was going to be the end of it. Now, by God's grace, I still say that I survived yonke londo. And going back to the office, I remember ndilila ndizamuchaza what had happened. And for me, it was so unexplainable because I voluntarily walked into imoto yomntu ongumama, because we always feel safe when xa ingumntu ongumama wenza into. Ifana nalaa nto xa uhayikha, you prefer uba ujonge uba iqhutywa ngubani loo moto, but ngabona abaphinde basoyikise. Now, looking at this day, as I did mention, we want to actually also highlight and put an awareness with regarding is scams. You know, what is a scam, as well as what are the different scams, is something that we're actually looking at. Now, let's take a quick look as well as how to recognize the tactics of scammers. One of the best ways is to actually even know ubanga, as well as to become aware and learn about the various tactics that scammers employ to try and steal from people. Let's take a quicker look as well as a closer look. When someone pretends to be from a certain agency or an organization that you know or can recognize, khona nje engadibani. Also, often the person claims that there is a problem or offers a prize for giving out information. Now, this one is very popular. Uve kusithiwa khasiphe account number yakho, and then so forth and so forth along the line. Pay your PIN number or any ID number yakho. Nobody would ask for those credentials over the phone. It's always done face to face, especially kwindawo ezinjengebhanka xa befuna ezo details. So never give out those details, your personal credentials. Also, when the person on the call pressures for immediate action, ubona uba ngaba nangoku uyangxoliswa bakutheni ungathi unikeze ezi information bazifunayo, of which hence I always say make sure Truecaller unayo. Truecaller even specifies if the certain phone call is a spam. But with abantu bangoku, trust me, kwa number le would look legit, and up until you just like, no, this is not making sense, they're very good at what they're doing. Also, we're looking at also if the person encourages you to pay in a certain way before ending the call. It's very suspicious. Nobody would actually want you to pay for something over the phone. Definitely. Now, how to take action as well as to avoid scams is very easy. they say. But at the same time, like I say, you never know up until into yenzeke apha kuwe. Most legitimate representatives will offer steps towards identification, including options such as getting off their official website to make a payment or even calling their company phone number. Now, let's check out a couple of these that you can actually avoid. Hang up the phone and call back at the contact information listed on a bill, statement, or other recognized communication. Number two, Kutoge, always be skeptical of a contract that was not initiated by you, and do not give out your personal information without verifying their identity first. And also, even if you even verify identity at first over the phone, it's really not a case of the exact identification. Yeah, but you might even find that they actually don't even give the right identification. And also number three, Kutoge, protect money from scammers by refusing to pay in a manner that is difficult to trace, such as sending cash, wire transfer, prepaid debit card, gift cards, as well as a cryptocurrency. Now that's another one on Instagram. Say as well to trade, buy a new wire for money, 100,000. Yeah, again within 3 days. That's a huge scam that we always constantly find on social media. That one, why would you put yourself through something like that? Being on your phone constantly trying to break people's lives, because all I always say is that abantu abaskema abantu ngabantu who want to ukungcuthekisa abantu babo. And earlier on, as I did mention, I have actually got somebody who's close to me who recently in January lost a huge amount of money, which actually equivalent, in fact, amounted to 28,000 with the deal that ebefuna ukuyenza yemoto, which looked so legit. Amaphepha khona, everything was giving up until what I know, man. 3 days down the line, I felt like there was something wrong. I felt my gut feeling telling me that I needed to go back to the dealership. And when she got to the bank, what was so painful, I mean, not even the bank, the dealership, was that she realized she was scammed. And the person, it was not the dealership's account, but a personal account. It was umntu who looked so clean. It was a person who's neat. Umntu ubunovele nawe umbone uba ngaba ke ayingomntu onobungozi, kanti ke ngumntu ebekudala izama ukukhangelwa kwangamapolisa from province to province, eleke emane etshintshe province as well as etshintshe dealerships, ebemane etshintshe igama lakhe. Because one thing we need to remember when abaphulaphula is that aba bantu abasebenzi bodwa, when you look at your scammers as well as your fraudsters, they do not work alone. There's always a syndicate. There's always going to be somebody at Home Affairs. There's always going to be somebody at the bank. There's always going to be somebody at a dealership. There's always going to be somebody somewhere. Akho mntu uzavela asebenze yedwa. And that's something efuneke siqiniseke ngayo. So I want to find out today when I'm Pulapuli, just before we close the day, have you ever been scammed? As well as if you have ever been scammed, how did you handle it in terms of also going to seek therapy? Ngoba andifuni ungayithethi ibuhlungu into nyani uba ngaba ke wehlelwe yinto ungayicingelanga, because there's going to be sleepless nights whereby you even feel as if you're reliving the moment constantly. And you cannot even live off iipilisi one uzothatha sleeping pills izawuthi imkele memory okanye izawuthi flash away as visions unazo of you actually living in the moment of you being scammed. So these are the things that we're looking at today, as well as one, as I did mention, that is popular. Say as bangamake job scams are constantly on the go, and it's one of the reasons I always say kubuhlungu nyani having to find abantwana abaninzi, belandela ezi scams and thinking that it's something that is legit, only to find out and as a human trafficking nowadays. So one needs to be more vigilant when they're actually looking out for these things. But all right, looking at time, it is exactly 40 minutes after 2 o'clock, 19 and a half till we take it to the top of the hour. And if you have just joined the conversation, so you're going to pledge again is with scams, and the big question that we have for you is have you ever been scammed? And if yes, how did you handle it?
Here comes Radio According to You. Join our online community on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeping SC Radio. The perfect dose of local and international sound. Let's go! You know you right, my nigga. One of the best kid music stations. KeepingSCRadio.com. KNR Radio. ICC. Playing all the hits. I love you still. Let's do it. What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber. Hey, this is Major Lazer. I'm Moon. This is our brand new single. Cold water for you. All the hits. Your uninterrupted broadcast.
I'm not even going to be actually advertising something that I saw, but I actually like a certain website that I was looking into. Ithetha into it about types of scams. Go to, I guess, stop, think, don't get scammed. I repeat, stop, think, and don't get scammed. As much as at times I've mentioned that you might be lured into something, and only when you're in it or realize that this is definitely not what you actually thought there would be. And I mean, there's a wide variety we've mentioned of online scams, fraudsters that are constantly inventing new schemes. And it's important that you keep abreast of those that have been identified in order to protect yourself as well as your assets. One of the most painful things is finding a man working so hard and only to lose the assets zabo ngohlobo olubi kakhulu through ababantu that actually scam them. And also, I've mentioned there's also dating scams whereby you find people dating online and on these online dating apps, and umuntu umbone uma ngabe ke usemathandweni, the others start even promising each other marriage, kude kuthiwa khawuthumele imali ethile, uyithumele wena kuba unalanda ukuthi ba lo muntu uyanthanda. Next thing you find that person was actually not even about it, but they were there just for the money. Now, there's also the change of banking details. There's also investment as well as trading, one which is definitely happening on social media. Facebook, Instagram, advance fee as well as deposit. There's also malware and phishing. A linked email or an SMS is sent to you, and you innocently click on the link, which then wants you to keep on loading and loading and putting on things. This one is also famous. I constantly get these SMSs. Your number yakho has been entered on a certain competition. You've won. Competition. Those ones are also very familiar. Also, money mules, the misuse of a bank account by the accountant holder. That's another one. And also online shopping scams. Ladies, I think this one, it really hits also with that. Scammer creates a fake online store, and in fact they start having beautiful clothing or even shoes, and they start posting on these socials, and you even start putting your money in only to realize bangabake ibingekho kwaloo nto. Ndiyayazi ke kufacebook iyathanda ubachaphazela abantu abangosisi kakhulu le uve kudregwa umntu kusithiwa bangabake ungaphindi uyolandela ipage yakhe. So that one, I know, an online shopping scam iyathanda uzehlela kakhulu. Also, purchase scams. You're offered fictitious goods and services, and you get attracted by the big amount of money. Kanti ingafiki lo purchase ubuyifuna. There's also the romance as well as online dating schemes, the ones that I've also spoken about, and also remote access scams, and also kukhona vishing. Vishing, like, hey, I'm learning a lot today. It's a scammer that contacts you by your phone pretending to be from the government. That one we know they actually talk about. And also ancestry scams. The scammer manipulates and abuses your local African culture and believes to scam you. This is the one that I actually fell into. In fact, ancestry scams, that's the one. And also there is a comorbidity scams. These scammers pretending to be high profile business profile people. They're within the mining sector. I can do those things for you. So those are some of the care scams that we're looking at today. And it's almost time for Vuyo to come through. But just before she does that, we're going to take a quick breather and giving you also radio according to the wisdom master